Доброго дня, шановні.
Dear colleagues, good afternoon. Thank you for coming. We have a little bit less speakers than we announced. I will tell you some backgrounds why these persons are our panelists. At the beginning of September, some time ago, civil network OPORA researched the tariffs of Kyivenergo in order to understand how transparent tariffs are for consumers who will soon start paying for heating. Together with the Ukraine Crisis Media Center, we published the material where one can understand that much information has been published, but several issues remain not covered, and they should be explained to our population. Twice we invited the national regulator, Kyivenergo, and the Kyiv administration representatives. We don't know what the reason why they didn't have not come here. UCMC is open for all organizations, and monopolies, regulator, cities administration, and NGOs should have open debates. Here we can see our national regulator representative. So our panel is Tetyana Boyko, coordinator of housing, communal and energy programs at Civil Network OPORA, Ruslan Mashliakivskiy, member of the National Commission for Energy and Utilities Regulation. The tariffs for this year, these heating seasons, can they be improved, and whether they are transparent, and how can we ensure for people's understanding, population's understanding what they are paying for. Civil Network OPORA researched this issue. Yes, dear colleagues, I would like to say what are the expectations and moods in the society. Our colleagues from National Ecological Foundation Ukraine conducted sociological research. This survey included question whether people believe in tariffs, whether they trust in tariffs, but people say they believe there is a corruption component included in the tariffs. This means that people do not have enough information, and for populists may use this for their statements. So we developed the methodology and proposed it to 46 journalists and civil activists, and they conducted their own research. For example, in the city of Rivne, they researched their heat the distributor. In other cities, they researched water suppliers, and altogether we reached the outcomes that there are many non-comparable indicators, and we can't reach unanimous conclusions because we can't. Our people in each community, they should understand what they are paying for. when they pay for heating, because this is the most painful topic, and this component is the largest in their utility bills, and where these funds go, which they pay. And we asked both the enterprises and the regulator to provide us detailed calculations of tariffs. They are available at regulators' website, and we also asked the plans on investment programs implementations, but we need reports on activities of heat distributors and reports on investment programs implementation status. Thanks to the tools such as request for public information, for Kyivenergo, we received such information from the national regulator, but what is the core information which is provided for approval of tariffs and for report? This information differ in scope. First, globally, this is comparison of planned and actual costs. Tariffs are related to plans, and in these plans there are such important components as repair. Mr. Mashliakivskiy will tell us more about this. Analyzing Kyivenergo's activities, we didn't understand how much money was spent by this heat supplier out of the planned costs. Then investment program. We have some general information how much money has been spent, but specifically which facility has been replaced and how much energy has been saved by this activity, we don't have such information. Kyivenergo demonstrates significant progress, but the trend is not the same in other regions. For example, what is the actual sales figure? When we do not have metering, then just standard consumption is used, so planned and the actual indicators, they may differ significantly. And people are most interested in such information which is unavailable. For example, how much gas fuel has been spent per gigacalorie of heat. This is very simple question, and we can't find the answer out of all the information available. So we propose to unify reporting so that one can understand what was planned and what was actually spent to make enterprises to use ProZorro system for their procurement, because abuses and possibilities to abuse are very abundant. So enterprises can go without ProZorro system, but we should find the ways to make them use it. Then also plan actual spending and use of investment program funds, indicating how much energy has been saved and what benefits communities will have. Thank you. Unfortunately, today the monopolist representative and Kyiv City's administration representatives are not present, but we would like to ask Mr. Mashliakivskiy to most of our population, they are not professionals, so please give the explanation of tariffs in simple words. Good afternoon, dear audience. Thank you for invitation to this meeting. I am sure that after today's meeting, the many questions still we still have. But I think we will cover them at our next meetings where Kyiv City's Administration representatives will be present and also utilities representatives. These enterprises, they are our properties, so 3 words about National Commission. So that one can understand the scope of regulation. Licensees of the Commission, so enterprises for which we set tariffs, they are about nearly 200 enterprises. So some 100 cities in the country fall under National Commission's regulations. All other water supply and heat supply enterprises, they are regulated by local authorities. To understand the services provided by these enterprises, I would like to mention Truskavets, Fastiv. Fastiv has 50,000 population. And this town is not our licensee. When in July, in August, there was a large wave in Ukraine of moratoriums, and all of them were focused on the National Commission. Hundreds of towns, councils, and village councils. I would like to say that 1/5 of requests were addressed to the enterprises which are in the powers of the National Commission. So the rest of them, local authority, the rest of local authorities criticized our commission for tariffs which they set, but they criticized our National Commission for setting these tariffs. They were angry with such tariffs. Only when we explained them, only after that they understood that they were them who set those tariffs. That was surprising for them. So the enterprises which are not licensees of National Commission, they receive tariffs from local authorities. Tariffs for water supply, for energy supply in those towns is far higher than the tariffs set by national regulator. This is the background history. As concerns tariffs, do we believe in tariffs? Nobody in this country trusts in tariffs, and in other countries. Can we understand the components of the tariffs? I don't think so, because technical components and economic components are included in tariff setting. Not everyone has such libraries at home with technical and economic books. Can we make the structure of tariffs the mix of components of tariffs to make them understandable to every person, to every citizen? No, we can't make them so transparent, but utilities provide services, and utilities should be paid for their costs of services. According to the legislation, the tariffs for heating, according to the legislation, that means reimbursement of costs of utilities for delivery of such services. Who is entitled to calculate tariffs? According to the legislation, this is the utility who calculate the tariff, and then this enterprise submits its calculations to the national regulator for approval. And our commission has no possibility to check every component of the tariff provided by every enterprise. The national regulator has changed the regulations in the recent years. Local authorities now are involved significantly. To our opinion, in our opinion, this key player in setting tariffs, local authorities should become. I would like to remind you that according to Article 17 of the law of Ukraine on local authorities, local self-governments, relationship between local self-governments and utilities owned by communities, they are based on reporting, and they are local authorities which play the role of defender of civil rights when such tariffs are set. Today, we would like to demonstrate and communicate to you as consumers let's just understand that we are not only mass media persons but also consumers of services provided by utilities. So every component of tariffs, let's look into them step by step. How our license, on the basis of the example of Novograd-Volynsk Teplоэнерго, the utility, and this way can understand how much consumers will pay in Novograd-Volynsk in 2016-2017. Svetlana Mykolaievna will tell us step by step. It would be more correct. This would be the example.
Мы подготовили презентацию.
We prepared the presentation. We have several presentations at the site of the Commission. We have several presentations. Presentation that envisages this information for non-specialists, how these tariffs are formed, what are the main indicators forming the tariffs, and arithmetics, how it is calculated, what indicators are included, and how they are calculated. 80% is the cost of fuel. And in the first presentation that was at our site, from physics, from study of physics, we know that we study at school. We calculated amount of gas that is needed for gigacalorie production, and the number of people to service the boiler in order to serve the supply, and how many people are needed to repair these facilities, and also servicing and personnel, average wage in Ukraine, the main taxes that should be paid by the enterprise, the repair works that are needed, and also gasoline for transport to carry out repair works. So these are calculations of the main indicators. This was our first presentation. And I repeat, this presentation was made in order to every person can get information, whether it is a big tariff or a small one. Then, on the example of an enterprise that supplied the package of documents based on the provisions of the regulator, we showed who participate directly in the forming of tariffs and what is the influence of local authorities and on what tariff depend. So now you can see in the slide regulatory documents, regulatory basis. These are citations from the laws, provisions of the Cabinet of Ministers, the provisions of the Commission, and also some documents involved, and also the use of electricity for 1 gigacalorie and other information. Everyone can see it on our website and can get more detailed information. The presentation is rather long, so I would like to outline the main. So this is normative basis. Ruslan Leonidovich paid your attention to this. So the tariffs is calculated by a licensor and by these provision 869 till 1st January 2016. So they used this provision also number 377. This provides the right to licensor based on the regulations to provide package of documents to Commission in order that Commission verified and adopted these tariffs. So this is normative documents, and we tried also to highlight those novelties that were adopted by the government in 2016. And it was reflected in this presentation. That is the order of compensation of losses that was sustained by the enterprise because the tariff was not established timely. This was in 2016. So energy supply. So these are general notions. Structure of selling energy in 2015, 78 population, budget institutions 12%, and about 10% is other consumers. So what is tariff? So it is to provide materials, main resources for production of products, and the product is energy, and then they make calculations, and these are those gigacalories that were consumed by consumers. So they make calculations and then present them to authorities. So
вот пока еще идет нормативная база. Как считается одноставочные? Есть одноставочные тарифы, есть двухставочные тарифы. Как считаются тарифы?
So the tariffs are calculated, and this is the basis for their calculation. You can see this information on the slide. The structure of tariff: 84% is for fuel and for cost, and 7% these are salaries, 5% electricity, and 4% these are 33 hryvnias for gigacalories. There's amortization, repair works, and taxes. So this is, we can see what amount of money they spent on this, and they are included in the tariff. There's a 1%, and also planned profit. The Commission adopted this year not popular decision. Those companies that, when the tariffs were corrected, the new provision was adopted. Those companies that didn't provide investment projects, and the Commission did not review these investment projects, so the average weight 134 is less than 0.5%. So this is the structure. Graphics, the process of forming the tariffs. It is shown in the slide. Local government, normative documents, they say that they do not influence on the tariff, but it's wrong. They do it, and we have regulatory documents, and local government influence the amount of, and they influence some indicators. So what is the responsibility of local government? These are coordination of planned volumes of production. Nominate and numerator and denominator. So this is calculated like this, and this is based on the plans on place of volume, based on the new production facilities. So these numerator and denominator, this is the responsibility of local government, and they calculate this, and they envisage it in the document, and there is they also provide the information about the losses, and also the use of gas to produce gigacalories. So these are the main indicators that form the tariff, and they are adopted by local government. So you see the documents on the basis of which they do it. So what do these licensees do? They know the information from the local government, and so they should know what is the number of gigacalories for the heating of housing. So the population consumes communal service on heating and the supply of hot water. Centralized heating, the norm, the amount of gigacalorie for 1 square meter, and it is adopted by local government. And the second part of the service is hot water supply. The number of meters of hot water per person for persons who do not have a meter. And it is adopted, this amount is adopted by local government, and this depends on local government. And the licensee also adopted losses based on configuration of networks, lines, their configuration based on type of tubes. So these calculations are made, and they adopt, local government adopt what the number of gigacalories should be produced in generating facilities in order to get communal service. 18 degrees Celsius in flats. Also, the volume of gas for gigacalorie, 85% of expenditure is adopted by local government in Kyiv. The norm of gas for producing gigacalorie is adopted by local government is 155 per 1 gigacalorie. So 85% depend on local government. So they calculated on the number of fuel, then they multiply it, and we get the information about the amount of cubic meters of gas the licensee should buy in order to provide 18 degrees of Celsius in our housing. So the price of gas is in the provision of the Cabinet of Ministers. The base price is established by the Cabinet of Ministers. Also, there is money for transporting of gas, and so the price is 5,674. Then they calculated, they added the cost of supply, and in order that we have 18 degrees Celsius, not 25 degrees Celsius as we used to have. So now we should have 18 degrees Celsius, and now they calculate and they establish the tariffs in this way. And they establish what amount of gas they should buy in order to provide this 18 degrees Celsius in our housing.
What is approved by local authorities? What regulations they approve according to their scope of responsibility? Licensee makes the calculations which I explained to you, and with its package of documents the enterprise comes to the regulator. You will see. submits an application. This is the structure of tariff. This is the enterprise Novograd-Volynsk Teplocommunenergo. What local authorities approve? What documents are included in the package? Several times we sent to developers the question whether this document is effective. Yes, it is effective. So tariffs for heating, specific heat supply by house types, type of houses may be under 5 floors or more than 5 floors and so on. Then local authorities, as you can see here, they sign the document. So when local authorities say that they have nothing to do to the tariffs, we can demonstrate that their signatures are available under the documents. And this is the standard 159 gigacalories per 1 square meters. It is approved here by the city's head. Then, depending on the floors of houses, depending on the areas of houses, this is a list of buildings in the town of Novograd-Volynsk, indicating each house whether it has a heat meter and what is the area to be heated in every building. This is the continuation of this document. This is how we calculate. This is the document I told you about, personal plan of energy consumption, how much gigacalories should be generated, and you can see here the figures for population and the seal to be approved by local authorities. This document is also subject to local authorities approvals, and for productive supply calculation, the document is needed, which is named temperature graph. Losses in the networks of heat supply. I told you specific standard of gas and electricity use per production of 1 gigacalorie. This is to be approved by Novograd-Volynsk City Administration and Zhytomyr Regional Administration. They are basic 90% of costs.
Ну, это, вот этот же документ, только электроэнергия и потери. Потери тепловой энергии в документе речный план. Вот эта цифра также утверждается. Постанова Кабинета министров 315, которую утверждает
by the document approving how much fuel, conventional fuel, goes per generation, for generation of 1 gigacalories. You can see in the document. Local authorities, they approve indicators which are available in different documents. All those documents, they are subject to approval by local authority. They are general norms, their annual plans. In them, indicators similar, the same indicators are available. You can see them on the slide. I repeat the figures are the same in different documents. Here you can see provision of gigacalories per 1 square meter. Then the component, such component as salaries, cost of salaries, they are subject to approval of local authorities. So what national regulators do? Just validate whether salaries really correspond to the salaries approved by national budget. Payroll is approved by director and the deputy head of the local council. Planned profit and depreciation item. Those sources of funding for installing meters and activities such as modernization and reconstruction of boilers. This would bring decrease in the tariffs. The enterprise develop investment program to be approved by local authorities. It is posted on the website of local authorities and this company, and after a long procedure of discussions, people's deputies consider this investment program, and after that, when the deputies approved it, this program is submitted to the national regulator, and when we consider it, national regulator looks for no mistakes, and also after this verification of the investment program, it is considered at the open session where it is approved by the national regulator and becomes binding for implementation. In 2015-2016, due to the acute necessity, we had such houses, 30% of houses with heat meters. Understanding that the tariffs are growing and the government requests installing meters in all buildings, so we thought about 100% metering. Understanding that with 60% where depreciation, we needed much effort. So investment program, you can see it here, and it is tried at the open session. Then financial plan. Local authorities look not only into the plan of core measures for energy efficiency, for investments. Here we can see that the head of the town approved the investment program, which we then considered at our open session. Tariffs for local consumers, tariffs for populations, according to the law, they are posted for 20 days at our website. This means at the website of the national regulator and also at the website of the utility which calculated this tariff. So people can provide their comments and maybe some components will be revised upon such comments. Maybe depreciation or repair components would be decreased. So local authorities should look into their budgets. We send them letters to review the tariffs provided by enterprises. After this 20 days period when these tariffs are available on our website and the website of the utility, upon receiving comments or not receiving comments and proposals to decrease the tariff, and receiving the letter from local authorities that they do not have money, and they understand that the tariffs are high, but they can't do anything to decrease them. And after that, tariffs for utility services, they are approved by the regulator and sent to the Ministry of Justice, where they are registered, and after 30 days they are registered by the Ministry of Justice. Well, thank you very much. It was very emotional speech, and I think it is very complicated procedure. We should do some steps to make tariffs more understandable. We already have this the question where this presentation is available. National Commission has repeatedly stated that our website is the most full site, the fullest website of the governmental agencies. Every presentation is fast posted at our website, and we also trace the interest to our presentations. One example, presentation on formation of tariffs and their components by water supply and water drainage utilities has been viewed by almost 1,500 viewers. Kyivenergo and the regional utility Vinnytsia Vodokanal and Fasti Vodokanal were taken as examples similar to this of Novograd-Volynski. They are available at the first page of our website. Everyone is invited to look through them. I would like to thank Svetlana again and say that during the last 2 years the National Commission has increased transparency of tariff setting procedure. First, we have changed the normative basis, the regulations, and we involved local authorities as far as possible. They are considered, the tariffs are considered at our meetings during the sittings where mayors or deputy mayors are present. Previous calculations, preliminary calculations, they should be mandatorily posted at the website of local authorities, and we include as far as possible, we consider the public opinion as far as possible, and we get public opinion from local authorities. We can't provide information to every household. We can't explain the tariff setting to every household, but we have managed to change the attitude of local authorities to tariff setting procedure. Before that, they just were saying that they have nothing to do with tariff setting. All tariffs which are economically grounded, and they have been calculated according to the governmental standards, and any exceedance is not objective for the Commission. And this exceedances, they are not included. According to regulator's opinion, this could not be included into the tariffs, and during recent years we have been stating our stand to the population, because ungrounded tariffs they resulted in overload on national budget, and non-transparent schemes of difference in tariffs also made it too high load on national budget. Thank you. Tetyana Boyko, can you tell us how activists in regions can use this in each region? NGOs, some groups, they declare that they can help to explain tariffs. I would like to thank for this presentation, and this presentation will help us as activists to explain the tariffs, but we would like also now to get your consent that at the end of the year you will explain us in fact but not in plan how to calculate how the enterprise spend the money. Then this would be the discussion on some very specific points, but not in general. Consumers thought they would have meters in their buildings, but they have not been installed, and also people are interested in why the pipelines have not been repaired. So people are interested to know why the pipelines have not been repaired and who is responsible for this. When we come to each specific house, each specific heat network, we understand that there are no money for such repairs, but the tariffs have increased for some reason. Are there any questions? You are welcome.
Natalka Protkaglavkom. The question is about meters. Kyivgaz, they established meters, gas meters, and money was allocated for this, and I asked Ruslan to confirm this, but now the price went up, and people, first I would like to ask about gas. Yes. And people now buy meters at the price of 3,000 hryvnias, those who didn't get this meters. And for the third month, I go to service center of Kyivenergo yesterday, and I presented this information on Facebook. There is chaos there. Many people arrive, and people get people cannot understand what is there, what is going on, why so many violations, and why the regulator does not react on this. Do you attend this service points, and do you know communal enterprises who direct people there, who refer them there. Because I found that there are violations. People establish meters in flats, and these meters are not approved, but the enterprises take money from them. So there is a number of issues. People want to have someone who can verify, check the information. So responsibility and control over the services is within local government, and Kyiv City Administration should make everything possible in order that Kyivenergo provided quality service to consumers. I do not know why, but Kyiv until 2014, Kyiv was one of the cities that lagged behind concerning quality of services. And only from 2014, I would like to mention a person who, together with the Commission, contributed a lot to providing the service, and this is Petro Panteleev. Together with him in 2014, decision was made, and Kyivenergo was obliged that all the costs that are concerning depreciation and profit, that this money should be directed to establishing meters in houses. And we hope that during winter season that we entered with not 100% established meters, but till a new year, we believe that all the houses of Kyiv City will be provided with meters 100%, the metering of heating energy. So I would like to go back last year. The National Commission, for the first time, understanding the problems in the area, throughout Ukraine, the lack of meters, and they applied to the Cabinet of Ministers, and it adopted the document to establish tariffs for those houses where there is no such metering. And throughout Ukraine, recalculation to decrease this amount is more hundreds of millions of hryvnias. And also the priority and the work of the National Commission for 2017, and the protocol decision was taken on this, and the regional administrations are informed that all the all the profits that are investment component of the tariffs, this money should be directed to establish meters in the houses. Yes, maybe it won't solve the problem of quality of services, but this will provide the opportunity to transparently see where money of consumers go, and understand that the payments that will be accrued, that it corresponds to the reality. And previously, I cannot understand how they calculated the tariffs during the last 20 years, because there were no denominator in the tariff structure. So the volume of consumption was absent. And for what our consumers paid this 20 years? This is an open question. I don't have answer to this question. As of today, we as a national regulator, we can openly say that the system is introduced to the distribution, the system of distribution is established, the tariffs that were established also in electricity in 2001, and the funds of consumers, each hryvnia of consumers, go to the distribution account of Kyivenergo, where the money goes to the consumed gas of Naftogaz after provision of 100% of and only the rest of money goes to current accounts of the monopolist we are speaking about. And should each consumer come to service to Kyivenergo, and do you have contracts for heat supply? So we will consider this issue. So we will apply to Kyivenergo, because we started to sign these contracts 3 years ago when the law was introduced, that they will directly supply. This was the season of 2015-2016. So there was a problem, but concerning those applications, we can see this. So in Kyiv, we have such a problem. Kyiv cannot manage the number of applications. They say that they can resolve these issues, but in order to resolve these issues, you should stand in the queue for days. But you said about the metering, about calculations, and there is a huge problem with the networks. You said that this is 1% in the tariff, but this is the main problem. Maybe you saw the video. My colleague lives in the house in Podil region. There are a lot of such complaints that there is supply damaged, and all the floors were in water, and people contact the service, but repair crews tried to do something, but during 3 days hot water was just pouring out. And who is responsible for this, and who will be responsible and who will be punished for this? So they said at press conferences that they have their accounts blocked, and so that the accounts are blocked. Yes, the accounts are still blocked. Last week, the Cabinet of Ministers adopted the draft law on restructuring the debts of Kyivenergo, and the adoption of this law will provide the opportunity to deblock these accounts. Why these accounts were blocked? Firstly, because they didn't pay to Naftogaz Ukraine, so they didn't accommodate their system to new realia. And they should have done this. So Kyivenergo started to work in such conditions about 2 years ago. As to ruptures, pipeline ruptures, as my colleague told you, 65% of facilities and networks are in bad condition. So you're speaking about Ukraine, or about... Yes, I'm speaking about our licensees. But in Ukraine, in many places, the situation is even worse, because no one can provide statistics there, and the tariffs now correspond to real expenditures and the methodology that is used now. The forming of tariffs at the level of self-cost, it doesn't provide the opportunity to fully repair the equipment that depreciated. Then the National Commission, together with the Institute of Local Development, together with the head of USAID, Tetyana Gryaznova, they signed a plan of actions to update normative basis concerning formation of tariffs, to have more progressive methodology. And we have hope that pilot project concerning transfer of the number of Kyivenergo for stimulating tariff formation will be done next year. And this will provide the opportunity to renew the equipment that is now in bad condition and to resolve the problems that appear each year while preparing for winter season. So according to our legislation, when we calculate repair work costs, about 10%, these are 10% of final cost of each facility. So for you to understand, I always give such example. There is an enterprise, Khmelnytskyi, that is our licensee, and the source of investment project for this enterprise, 37,000 per year. For you to understand what can be done for this money, for 37,000. But we they have to adhere to current legal acts. So as to our achievements, we changed the opinion of local government, and I believe that in the framework of decentralization, more and more mayors of cities, the communities, they will care about the enterprises, and they will invest funds both of local budgets and through tariff profits that will go from consumers. Because the important is the quality of service, and the quality of service is rather low and becomes even worse. And we analyze the quality of water. So the tariffs are high. The tariffs for example, in Fastiv, 60 kilometers from Kyiv City, the tariff 28 hryvnias for cubic meter of water. This is both water supply and water drainage. So this is the Pepsi Cola color water, and but they do not have any other. And if they do not invest money in this enterprise, the city will be deprived of water. Not just potable, but just any water. So I would like to comment on what was said. We raised systemic problematic issues. The first is about money for repair works, and the second about the sources. I don't believe that when investment, it is not correct when investment program depends only on consumers. It is called investment, that the enterprises, they should attract investment, and this should be done. The investor should come, it should bring money, and then the investor should return this money with profit, and without it, this water, it won't be brought to the standards of water, for example, in Germany, that costs €9. Our specialists work with a specialist of the Fund of State Property of Ukraine, together with a specialist of the Ministry of Regional Development, and also with the associations concerning the preparation of a normative legal basis, concerning the introduction of new method of tariff forming, and also carrying out independent assessment of assets of enterprises, and also the introduction starting from 1st July 2017, 3 enterprises of water supply and drainage, and 3 enterprises to provide heat, that they will have new tariff regulation, stimulating formation of tariffs, and that will provide the opportunity this will be an attempt to attract investment in communal enterprises that are now in operation. We don't know whether this investment will be there, but we should move forward. Thank you very much. Now the comment from your colleague.
I would like to give you two figures. The investment program of Kyivenergo includes 217 millions. They are for 270 meters installation. This is the largest component of the investment program because consumers should pay for consumed gigacalories or the consumer should pay for those products which he or she consumes. The other figure is what can be done. The pipelines are in bad condition. 65% of pipelines has been worn out. This is the average figure. So construction of 1 meter of pipeline costs from 8 to 12 million hryvnias. Thank you very much. I would like to remind everyone and to Mr. Mashliakivskiy specifically that we invite you to our other meetings in future. We are sure that public discussion will help everyone to understand how to work in future, and I invite everyone here for all our audience to come to us on Friday. There will be the day of energy sector. My request, my personal request, and my our national commission's request is please help us and communicate our information which we updated our website regularly, and if you also help us to communicate the methodologies of tariff setting through mass media, then it would be real assistance to our national regulator. If you are interested, we can make any meeting at our venues. We have good venues, so any public experts can ask any questions. We will provide answers to any of your questions. So our national regulator, our commission is transparent, and we invite you with all of your questions. Thank you.